We are glad to be joined by Mr. Benedict Sagoe. He is a systems administrator for the Ghana Domain Name Registry. So I think we should be proud that we have someone from the Ghana Domain Names to handle this for us. So you are getting the raw deal. Okay, somebody who has worked in this space, understand the space. In fact, the whole registry sent him to represent him. So you are seeing the rep from the, so you have to do a photo. So it's as good as the Director General. You call him Director General, right? Or Executive Director. Okay, so he would have been here, but he nominated him to be here. So please feel free, enjoy the session. If you have any questions, we'll go by the timing so that you can manage and then still get something out.
Okay, thank you. And once again, thank you, Mamata, and then the team, the EGIGFA team, for organizing this internet governance school. I believe we want to build a good internet community, and the best way to build it is to have a strong local people who understands what goes into internet development or building a strong community. So I believe from here, you will participate in our activities. We also organize similar events, and then we also do capacity building on internet governance related issues. We may not maybe go into main governance, but we go into domain name administration and then system development as well. So I would say thank you for inviting us, and we'll do our best to bring everyone on board. If you understand the DNS or the domain name structure very well, when you go to ICANN, I believe you'll be able to contribute in terms of joining the GNSO group and then also the CCNSO, so that when it comes to domain policies, you'll be able to contribute and then participate well and then make us proud. Thank you. Can we go to the main slide, the speaking points? So I will do a bit of introduction, and then, of course, I have to talk about my organization. So I'll do just one slide introduction of my organization, and then we will look at the rules and findings of ccTLDs, the benefits, operational models, business models, and then how to register a domain in Ghana, like .ga domain. I hear better now. Can you hear me? Okay. So, and then we look at some of the primary goals of having domains also there. So first, I'll go to my organization, who we are. The Ghana Domain Name Registry, as we formally call the GDN now, it was established by the Electronic Transaction Act. The act that basically talk about all the digital activities in Ghana. And when we go to Act 772, Section 63, that's where we get our powers from. And we are set up as a non-profit organization, which means if we happen to make money, that money should go back into the community development. And because of that, we organize events. At the moment, we are not fully operational, but whatever that we gain through sponsorship or donations, go back into the community at the end of the day. And as I said, we are backed by the local internet community, but our local internet community is somehow made up of purely technical people. And that is not encouraging, because we need the policy people to be there. We want ordinary user of the internet to also be there when we talk about internet-related issues. So we are happy once again to be here. And as I said, we also collaborate with local and foreign DNS partners for DNS advancement. We have programs with ICANN. We have programs with EGIGFA. We organize the Universal Acceptance Day. If any of you were here, we organize with the AAU, who are hosting this event, and then EGIGFA. We also have events with ISOC, and then even the other registries in Kenya and then Nigeria as well. So we do a lot of that. And then our initiatives, as you can see there, focus on the implementing of the 3R model. I will not talk much about it here because I will discuss what 3R model means in the main scene. And they will also do the training, as I said, we have the DNS training, we have the Ghana Internet Governance Forum, which every time EGIGFA also participates. They even have their own session. Last year, they had a session in the And then this year, I believe we have a session also there. And then also the universal acceptance training workshop, which I said we organize with them. Then the LIC meetings. The LIC meetings are made up of the technical community, the government institutions, the MNO, which are the mobile network operators, and then even the internet service providers. They all form part of the LIC meetings. And we have them almost every 3 months. And then the future development goals. As a registry, we have to be able to encourage and then have a local content, and then also encourage the use of our local languages. You know, we have some alphabets, all those in our local languages, which at the moment are not available online. So when you buy the .ga domain, we are using still the Latin characters, which sometimes if you want to write a name like Razor, the O and all those things does not come. So those are the things that we are looking at doing in the future. So that when we are promoting tourism or we are promoting what is Ghana, it's not only about the content, but even the name itself to indicate to the person who's consuming your content that it's really coming from Ghana or it's a Ghanaian-based content. And then also automation and then streamline of registration process. I'll not go much into that, but at the moment we have only one registrar stroke registry. But going forward, we are looking at having more people coming on board for domain registration. And when you have more people, which means we are going to expand to the community to people to come on board and then set up a businesses that's related to the domain name infrastructure. Now to the main discussion or the main reason why we are here. What is ccTLD? And then as I was said, it stands for country code top level domain. Fine. And it represents the sovereign state or a particular geographical area. So like the .bj man said, .gh is for Ghana, .uk for United Kingdom, we have the .jp for Japan, and then .ca for Canada. And I think those of you who have been consuming content from other places, it's like those who are applying for school or those things, you say most of the time, you don't see the institutions being .com. If it's .com, you see .com, .ca or .uk or those things. Most of the time, the educational institutions are very conscious about it because it really tells you who you are. So investing in Canada will not use .edu or just anything. It will end with .ca. The same way all the Ghana universities ends with .gh to tell you that they are in Ghana. And if you want to find them, they are from Ghana. Please, the next slide. Yeah. So we are looking at the benefits of using ccTLD domain names. And then the first item we see here is local relevance. So we say that you demonstrate a strong local presence coming to the country. When you are a business or when you set up a business, your first customers are the people in the country, unless maybe it's a online content that maybe you are looking outside the country. But when you set up a business, I believe all of us here, nobody, if I ask for your contact number, you are not going to give me, as a Ghanaian, you're not going to give me your number in US. We're going to give you number plus 233, and then you add other numbers. What are you trying to tell me? You are trying to indicate to me that you are in Ghana or you are from Ghana. When you set up a business, you will not, if I ask you for your business contact, you are not going to give me a UK number when you are in Ghana. And if you give me UK number and you are in Ghana, let's say I meet you online, oh, I want to buy a shoe from you, give me your number. They give me UK number. What will come to my mind first? I cannot trust you. The same way goes with the domain names. .com is for everyone, but .com is not for all of us. If you are online retail shop and you are using .com, what I tell me is you belong or you are online there, but I don't know where you actually are. But if you tell me it's .com.gh, I know that maybe you are a Ghanaian or a Ghanaian company. If I'm buying Kente, and then the website say maybe relevant.com, I'm buying Kente from there. And then there's another person who's also selling Kente. And then the Kente is maybe, who can give me any company name? And maybe kp.com.gh. It tells the person that whatever I'm buying from is a registered company in Ghana, And if there's any issue, I can trace back, and that trust become better. And then the second point is the CEO advantages. When we go online, then we are searching for, even when we go to Google and we search for maybe schools, just type schools. You see all the schools that will come first will end with their website, or the domain ends with .edu.gh. The person who's using maybe just .edu or any other name will have to spend more for his domain to be ranked higher. Other young people who say that they are SEO specialists or marketers, they will put in more keywords and work extra harder for their content to be ranked higher. Because Google and all those different search engines look at the location or the geographical base when you are doing a search. So if you're searching for something and you are from Ghana, the first thing that comes to mind is the person may want something which is in Ghana. So that's what they will look at. And the same applies to another country. Those who travel, sometimes when you travel and then you are searching for something, your resource, if you're expecting to get a result which is based in Ghana, it becomes different. Not that you get confused. So that's how these things work. And then we go to local and policy compliance. Because of the cyber fraud and cybersecurity issues, many countries, many unions like the European Union, they have their GDPR law in place. Africa too, they have something like that, which is still ongoing. And then Ghana here also have some laws. And then when you are buying, you also look at some of the things that you are protected. So all these things come into play before you select a domain name. So wherever you are, when you are doing business, or anybody wants to do business with you, they look at the law that may be applicable to you. And in so doing, they may go for a country code domain name. Or anybody who's doing business with you may look at your domain name. And then branding and identity. Please, has anybody searched for a domain before or bought a domain? And then the challenges they go through. Like when you're looking for a common name, you type something like maybe advanced computing. Let's say you are setting up a domain name, advanced computing. You type and they say it does not exist. Then end of the day, they may tell you to add Ghana Advanced Computing before you get the name. When your target is in Ghana, but because you may have to add something to it before you can get the domain, it becomes very difficult for you. And you may end up even changing the name to reflect something else. Or maybe you may have a name already in existence, and then you want to buy, or you want to set up a website, and then you go and that particular name has been taken on .com. But when it comes to the local level or your country level, that name may be there. And then a particular name, when you say Akwaba, and then Akwaba, you are buying akwaba.com.gh. It gives that identity, and then the brand you are talking about. So some of the names, because of your location, you may have to look at where you are before you buy the domain. You don't just go and buy a domain because you want it. Buying.com is easier, I know, and then most people go for that. So that is one advantage. You can go to the next slide. Okay, so the next slide, as we have invest in local economy, most ccTLD function as non-profit entities. Yes, at the beginning of my presentation, I said that at GDNR or most of the local registries, whatever money they make, they invest back into the community. When you go to Nigeria, for example, the Nigeria registry, NIRA, they organize what we call the DNS forum and also hackathons and other programs, all to build the local people. And then also to ensure that people really benefit from whatever they are putting their money into. If you buy a .com, the money goes to someone outside your local your geographical location or your country. But if you buy a ccTLD-based names, most of the time the money happens to stay in your country, and then it's also reinvested. And we have a number of them. CIRA, which is the registry for Canada, organize a lot of, they do the internet speed testing, and where even the government cannot even invest in IT infrastructure, they also go into support. So when you do that, it also helps in that facilitation. And then we have the market research. It says facilitate market penetration by appealing to local customers. If tomorrow GDNR, or let's say your country, I believe, is anybody from Kenya? Kenya and then South Africa, they already do a lot of even advertising. And in Canada, there's something they call don't be a traitor. If you buy a domain which is not .ca, they see you to be a traitor. Like he says, term that has come to stay. And because of that, there are people feel obliged to, or they feel comfortable buying the local one. Because if you buy, you know that you are actually supporting your local businesses, and then you also become more appealing because people want to buy the local ones, so it become more appealing. And then we talk about security and stability. When you buy a local domain, or when you buy the ccTLD based domain names, it becomes easier because every country, now we are looking at the digital sovereignty. Every country is setting up infrastructures to support the local people. So if you're not buying the local ones and then you buy something which is outside, some of the management are not locally based. Like we are saying, if we MTN, all those people are on board and they are buying and they are setting up their DNS servers, which basically translates your domain names to the IP address that you have. When that search has to go outside the country and also come back, it's also a challenge. And then when these things are locally based, and then we set up at multiple regions to also bring stability. When maybe there is an internet shutdown or there is an internet cut-off, like we experienced recently when the undersea cable were cut. If you have your resources in Ghana, or if you realize most of the government services, Ghana.gov and other services were running, but other services were not in Ghana. Because Google was even running in Ghana because Google have their car service in Ghana here. So most of their services were running. That's what the stability we are talking about. Because the more you build, the better you are able to manage. Yeah. And as a ccTLD, most of them operate under these two models. We have the closed and then the open. And these are based on, sometimes based on the local community decision or the government interest or what it is set up to be. And then when we look at the open model, we said some ccTLDs follow registrar model, similar to the generic top level, like the way that .com runs. So it's open to everyone to register. They don't care where you are, whether you are in the country, outside the country, or wherever you are, you can register that domain name. And mostly those ones that we see, examples are the .me, which is for Montenegro. We have the .tv, which is for Tuvalu. Tuvalu is a small island. And their ccTLD contribute significantly to their GDP. So that's explains the reason why it's even open. And when you see .tv, most of the TV stations would like to have something .tv. So because of that, they are not comfortable just operating within their small space, where they have small population. So they open it for other people to also buy. And then because of the branding, it gives to particular products or services. They open it. The same goes to .me. But when people see .me, they think it's a personalized one. So I'll buy Benedict.me, which means it's for me or for another person. Yeah. And then we have the closed ccTLD registries. Those ones, most of the registries are set up in that model, in the sense that they want it to be for the local people or entities that have local presence. And why do they do that? Because sometimes you want to control spamming, and then you also want to protect your local consumers or the local internet community come together and they say that this registry or this our country code shouldn't be sold to just another person. It should just be a brand that we really identify with, and they want to protect it. And I don't think anybody would like this country to just be used just because maybe the registry wants money. And that's one of the reasons why most of the ccTLDs are non-profit. Because if you allow them to operate as a profit-oriented, you know, when people want profit, the things they can do, they can just open to anybody to register. And at the end of the day, if your domain name becomes affected with spams or security issues, then you also have yourself to blame. Then after, so these are the two main registry models. And then when it comes to operations or the functions of a ccTLD registry, please, do you have any question here, or as we continue, when I'm done, then we ask questions? Okay. So functions of ccTLD registry. The first one is manage domain name database. As I said, registries are set up to manage the domain names. I'm sorry, here we can't be too technical here, because what happens when you buy a domain name, it's registered in the database with your name service IDs or the IP address. So when somebody types www.ug.edu.gh, it goes behind the scene, go to this database and check the name to an IP address. The IP addresses are mostly unique identifiers. So it checks and then it gives you a response, or to go to the server that is located somewhere and then put the resources for you. So that's basically what the registries manage. They manage those databases. And also, I said, ensuring security and stability of ccTLDs. Because you want to run your country domain name, you have to set up a certain way that it will not be susceptible to attacks. So these registries are put in charge to ensure that these services run 24/7 and backups and all those things are managed so that you don't have issue of going down. And then enforce policies for domain name registrations. Most countries have policies for registering domain names. Like I said, the close one, they say you must have a local presence. Even some countries go to the point of asking for your national ID to show that you are locally based. And then some of the countries also even, they do random calls. They will call the contacts to find out whether the person really resides in the country before they give you, or at a point, they check to see whether the person who took the domain name is still the same person managing or using it. And also provide technical support and infrastructure for domain resolutions. You see, when you buy the other, sometimes the .coms and the .orgs and all those things, and you want support, especially when someone buys on your behalf, and then the person maybe is dead, or maybe for some few reasons you're not talking to the person, and you now want to change your name server to another place, you want to change it. When you go to them, you must provide a proof. And sometimes because you are not the person who set up, or the way you set up, you cannot go and explain to them how it was set up or how you want it to be. It will be difficult for you to even get support from them. But with the ccTLDs, it's easier. Let's say you can walk to our office with your document to prove that you are the owner of the domain and this happened. Now the administrator is no more, so you want to change the records. We can easily change it for you. Before you can prove that you are the owner and then you want to do any updates, you can easily do it. Unlike the other commercialized one, sometimes even to change from one registrar to another person becomes issue. But with the these ones, you have easy access to the registry and you can easily talk to them for support or any other thing that you want to do. Yeah. So out of the functions, then these are the main operations of registry. And the first one is the domain registration. And the registration, the registry or the community. I'm saying the registry or the community in the sense that some registries are community-based. The community take most of the decisions. And then the registry are just there to implement those policies that have been implemented. So they set up the eligibility criteria or define who can register for the domain. They also set up the registration processes. That's the steps that one has to take to get a domain registered. And then the accreditation of registrars. Registrars here, I'm forced to explain registrar. When you have a registry, the registry sits as its own main purpose. Some of the registry, its own main purpose is just to manage the database. So they allow other individuals or companies to now come on board and say that I will sell the domain on your behalf. So those who sell the domains on the behalf of the registry are called the registrars. And you know, VeriSign is the registry for .com. And then we have some people like GoDaddy who are registries. who are registrars. So GoDaddy take the services from VeriSign. But because you don't know VeriSign has that responsibility, sometimes you don't even care about them. So these registrars also have to meet certain requirements before you bring them on board. And those requirements include the policies that we set. So this registry also ensure that the people who are coming on board get accreditation or meet a specific requirement before they enroll them into their system. And then the domain management, that one, as we said, the DNS servers, the registries manage them. They are in charge of the management. And then also ensuring that DNSSEC, which is also an advanced level of the DNS servers, will provide additional security to the consumers or the registrants, are also maintained. And then the policy enforcement, as we saw in the functions part, they also ensure that when there are disputes, they put in mechanisms or committee that handles the dispute. In domain name, I believe like any other businesses, sometimes you'll be there, you have a business called Ama Enterprise. You go online and then somebody has registered ama.com. And that's ama.com. When you do the who is search, the person is in Ghana. Now, how do you get the person? Or how do you prove that you are the owner? And when we have that's what the registries does. When there's an issue, like your name has been registered by another person, you can go and make a complaint. And most of them have a dispute resolution committee, which are also sometimes made up of the local internet users. So they look at it, even they have a lawyers all in there. They look at the merits of the issue and then discuss and then say, oh, this person seems to be the right owner of the domain. So they also do that. And then the technical support goes into the maintenance and then the customer service. If you have any issue, even regarding your registrar, you can even contact the registry and then make a complaint. And they will look into it and ensure that things are done. So these are the operations of the registry. And then I'll look at, please, am I on time? Okay. We will look at the registry operational models. We have about 4 or 5 different operational models. And this one, I'm putting this one here because you are fellows. It's good to understand this so that when it comes to domain issues or domain policies, you'll be able to contribute to see which one is appropriate for maybe your country and why you think your country should go for A, B, or C. Or when there's a discussion, you also have a knowledge of what is really being done. And then the first one is the government operated model. That's why we say that the government agencies directly manage the registry and ensure alignment with national policies and regulations. Typical example may be a country or a particular country want to, their digital drive, the country is setting up fiber optics, setting up the 5G infrastructure and all those things. After setting all those things up, they say, oh, then let's manage our own registry. And we have countries like that who do that. But the registry operations, sometimes people, when they say government is directly involved, sometimes people think that maybe the government controls everything in its aspect. In some countries, the government is just a regulator, and then the registry's responsibility is given to other institutions. On other countries too, even though it's government regulated, they give it all the powers. It's limited by guarantee. So the people can operate on their own, make any decisions together with the community. The government does not get involved again. But since the government still have eyes on whatever activities that goes on there. And then we have the non-profit organization. Those ones are managed by managed by other organizations who so interested just to make the internet accessible. And then we have countries that even Internet Society local chapters manages their registry. And then we have other institutions that the government itself give the responsibility to an NGO or other agencies to manage the registry on their behalf. And they have another instance whereby an individual or an organization took it upon themselves to manage it, even though they think that it should be managed. So they've taken it as provision and they are managing it. They have the private company. The private company is different from the non-profit because the private company operates with the intention of making profit. So that's why we have the private company as an entity on its own. Please, the next slide. Yeah. And then we have the academic institution model. When you go to some countries, because things keep changing, so I don't want to mention some country name, and then maybe before 10 minutes. Okay. So I don't want to mention some specific countries name because some of the countries, things keep changing. Some of them have even going through delegation, all those things. So some of the registers are managed by an institution. Let's say the universities take a charge of managing it. And then we have the hybrid model, which is what most of the registers are using. The hybrid in the sense that maybe government regulate, and then the community manages it, or they apply all the various models. They give the edu to the academic institutions to manage. They give other sessions to NGOs, and they commercialize some part of it. So, and most of the registries don't operate only one model. They combine any of them. Please, the next one. Yeah. And then the business model of the registry. Here, let me first explain this. I hope you can all see this side. Yeah, we say the registry manages the back end. And in the back end, mostly the database servers and all those things that they manage. And then we have the registrar, which I said, they take the service from the registry and then give it to the community. So they manage the front end. Like when you go to GoDaddy and then you type your domain name and then you say it's available or not available. And then we have the customers. The customers are us, or sometimes we also refer to them as registrants, the people who come and register. So when you look at here, we are saying that we have the 2R model. The 2R model, the registry does everything. They set up the front end and then the back end, and then you, the registrant, you just go in and then register your domain. But here, it has its own disadvantage in the sense that you as a registrant must have some level of technical skills before you can do this. Because when you go there, you register your domain, they ask for your name server, then you key in the name server, which means you have to go to a hosting service provider, or if you are setting up in your own house, you have to know how you are setting up your name servers. And then you provide those details to them. When you go to GoDaddy or other places, you just type the name, everything comes, your email, everything is set for you. You don't care about any other thing. But here you must have some level of technical skills or understanding of what you are doing. And then you have the 3R model, where you have the registry sitting on its own. You have the registrar under it, and then the registrants go to the registrar to get a domain. And here the main thing is it's an extension of the 2R model. Just like we bring the registrar in the middle, and then the registrars get accreditation to manage the registrant information that they have. And then here, it's quite unfortunate. Here we have the 4R model. The 4R model, we have two types. We have the registry, registrar, reseller, and then the registrant. And then we also have another model, which is the regulator, registry, registrar, registrant. The difference is just that here, the regulator sits on its own, and then just whatever it does, it just gives out the policies, or it makes sure that the policies are implemented. And then the registry also give the domains out to the registrants. And this is what typically you will find in South Africa. They have what's called the ZNA. The ZNA is the regulator. And then we have the ZACR, which is the registry that manages the .co.za and then the .or.za. So we have that model in place. And then when we have the registry, registrar, reseller, and then the registrants, typically we have some individuals or companies. I don't know whether we have any web developer here. Do you have a web developer here? The web developer over there, instead of maybe telling you to go and buy your own domain and then setting up, he will charge you as part of his services. And then he will buy the domain on your behalf, set everything up and give it to you. So even though you are the registrant, he will go to the registrar and then get it. And those are the people we call the resellers. The resellers will differ from country to country. What most countries do is the resellers is also open up the economy or get people to get jobs. Because instead of you going directly, you go to them and then they will also get commission on whatever they are selling so that they can also survive on whatever they are giving you. Besides that, some of the registries also have a very strong requirements. I know one registry, I think Sweden also, you must get 50 unique registrants before you can become a registrar. So you will start by becoming a reseller, even though maybe be a big company, become a reseller. When I say unique registrant, let's say we are 50 here. It means each person must be your customer before they will accept you as a registrar. So if you have 59, you still don't qualify to become a registrar. So you must go through that process to also motivate you. And that also has its benefit because the person is a big company. He wants to become a full registrar. So you motivate him to sell more so that he can become a full registrar. And then we are saying that registrar, when you look here, it says registrars offer value-added services, such as web hosting. Because the registry, their main purpose is just sell the domain to you. Whatever you do with it, they don't care. And the same domain, you use it for your email services, your web hosting, and then other services that come with the internet. So they will say to you, but these registrars will add all those services as a value-added services for you to benefit or for you to make the work easier for you. Then they also increase market penetration. The registries who operate these models, especially in Africa, when you take Nigeria, Kenya, and South Africa, they are the three registries who are doing very well. And when you look at them, they have over 50 registrars under them. Each country has about close to 100 plus, and they are registering over 200,000 domains, and they still keep going because these people are motivated to sell more. But where the registry and then the registrar are the same person, if maybe I have my 100,000, I have my 50,000 domains, and I'm breaking even and I'm making profit, I may be okay. But other people, if they are there, they also want to break even, so they will all bring those services, bring the country. So I did a comparison here. So when you look at here, the two are, it says simplify management and control. This one, the registry knows all the registrants. So if you say that's you, I'm not going to allow you to register domain again for the rest of your life. He may not allow you to register domain again. But with this one, it's difficult for them to do that because you can straight to any other registries, and then the registrars will even talk on your behalf. So it becomes difficult. And then the disadvantage is limit the market. Because as I said earlier, if the person already is breaking even or is making profit, it does not see the reason why to even invest more or market it. And then the three are increased complexity in the sense that now the registry has more work to do. Now, if let's say you are doing the closed model and you have to monitor every domain registered to ensure that these people are who they are, it means you have to even get somebody there who will be checking new domains registered day in, day out. It will become a little difficult for the registry, but it's to advantage, it expands the market for them to also make more money and then also diversify their activities. And then the 4R is the apex of all the models. That one really expand the market for everyone to be in. Yeah, so we are in Ghana, and some of the things we see in how to the process of registering a domain in Ghana may be similar in most of the countries, but there are some other limitations that you may find in there. And this one is for the current manager of the .gh. As I said earlier, the domain registry, as it stands now, is not being managed by GDN now. They are undergoing a process called delegation to take over that administration. But as we stand today, these are the requirements for you to get a .ga domain. And then the first thing is, they say the domain administrator must be located in Ghana, and the company of the administrator should have been registered in Ghana, which means we are operating which model here? No, initially I was talking about open and close. Yes. And then here I'm saying that you should be located in Ghana. So we are operating a closed model here. So you say you provide the details. And they are saying that the primary DNS for registered domain under .gh are encouraged to be in Ghana, but not required, and intended to help development of the Ghana telecommunication and information technology infrastructure. Here, what we are trying to do is to encourage people to host more in Ghana. Because if you host more in Ghana, then our dependency on foreign services also becomes lesser. Imagine we have all the services, the Facebook and all those things being hosted in Ghana, and then the Faba, the deep sea cable catch issue. You may not even feel it. We have countries that they've been shut down, basically shut down from the internet, that the people didn't even know. All the services that they are taking are locally based. So you don't care whatever is even happening outside. And that is also some of the things that we encourage. And then the next option is the domain name should be more than 3 characters. Basically, except the schools that we allow them to register 3 domain names. So the county manager is saying that if you want to register 3 domain names, you must have a special reason. And then you have to bring that reason. And based on the reason, you allow you to register, or you pay a premium fee to get that domain registered. And then domain names registered under the top level domain should be active within 6 months. Here we are encouraging the adoption of .ga domain names. We are not encouraging packing of domain names, where people go to like the .com, they buy a domain and then leave it, hoping that tomorrow somebody will come, and when the person needs a domain, he will sell it at a premium. Here we don't encourage that. So when you buy, you must use it. So you only buy when you need it. You don't buy and then leave it there to stand to sit. And then domains are originally registered under the 3rd level. When I was talking, I said some even in Ghana here, when you go to ISOC, for example, you have ISOC.gh. That is the top level domain. Then we come to the 2nd level and then the 3rd level. In Ghana here, we do the 3rd level. So you get a .com.gh. You stop giving out the top level, like maybe ISOC.gh. So you only get .com.gh, .edu.gh, .mail.gh, and then .org.gh. Why are we doing that? It also makes it easier to identify the classification of the registry or of the user. When we say .com, it means it's a commercial business. When we say it's .org, it's organizations or mostly the non-profit organizations. When we say .edu is for educational institutions. And when we say .gov, you know that it's coming from a government body. And then with the .gov, not just anybody can wake up and go and buy .gov. There's a requirement. We will also look at it. So you must meet some certain requirements before you can get .gov. The reason we do this, or registries do that, is to encourage people to have some level of trust. Because if tomorrow you are going to University of Ghana and then you see universityofghana.com.gh or you see .com, something should click to you that there's something wrong. In the same way, there was another thing I talk about security. When you go to your bank website and then you see, let's say, mysecondbank.com. Now there's another bank, secondbank.com.gh. Which one would you trust? .gh. Yes. And because now people are also trying to divert people or steal people's data, what they do is, you see mysecondbank.com.gh, you will have the same name. And then let's say if there's an L there, he will make it 1 or I. So when you see that email and they redirect you to a page, you may easily follow without even knowing that you are going to a spam page. Yes. But when it's the .com.gh, because of the limitations in registration, you will not even register a domain name that looks similar. So it gives you some level of trust. Anytime you receive an email and you see that it ends with .com.gh or .com.bj or .com.ca or .uk, .co.uk, it gives you that level of trust that this one, where it's coming from, and then based on their operations, it can never be spam. So you look at it and then you move it. Yeah, so the registration process. So the registration process, we said the first thing, the first thing is to check whether that domain name exists. So you use the whois. Yeah. So you use this URL to check if the domain name exists. When you type and you don't get any information, it means that that domain name is available and you can easily register it. And if you want to register, you go to the ghana.com/GHNIC. Basically, when you go to ghana.com, it has a link that will lead you to the registration page, and then you register. But for the purpose of that's why I put it here, so you see. And then after registration, you make payment. This one can come before whatever, depending on the situation. So if it is reviewed and then approval is given, and they will send an email that your domain has been registered, duly registered. And when you register, domain names mostly takes about 15 to 24 hours to propagate. Once they propagate, to be available online for people to see. And that is mostly with the .coms. But when it comes to the ccTLDs, because sometimes maybe it's locally based and sometimes it has maybe 3 or 4 servers, this propagation can even sometimes take about 4 hours or 3 hours to get it propagated. Especially when you're in the country, you will get it the same almost within 3 or 4 hours. Unless maybe you're outside the country and then it has to propagate through the root servers and all those things before you can get it in other countries. But beside that, it will be able to go through. And then you make the payment. And they said that domain name activation, domain is activated and add to the database. So anybody who go to search for your domain may see it and have the records there. And this is a quite simple process. And at the moment, when you go to the WHOIS, the reason why we are saying that you should look at the ccTLDs and also look at the policy part is in Ghana, for example, when you go to the WHOIS and you search, you get all the information about the registrants. When you go to the other GTLDs or the generic top-level domain names, based on the local policies and then the privacy rules, you may go and then the domain is registered all right, but the person's name, you can't find it. You can't find the person's contact. You can't find anything there. So you are just in the dark. But here, even though our privacy issues, we are here to discuss that. And I know we have a lot of the privacy aspects here. We have Imane Gadasu even here. It's laughing that people can get those records. But it's for purpose of transparency and accountability. That's why we have it. Until the LIC again, when they become stronger and then they think that there's some certain information should not be available for everyone to see, then it's reviewed and then it's changed. So this is a good platform for you to understand what goes into it, so that if you decide to go into privacy session, you'll be able to understand why these things are done. And also when I'm making contribution to the community, make a contribution that reflects our agenda. And then we said that the registration.edu, this one is basically for .edu domain names. First, it's reserved for the educational institutions that have been accredited by the Ministry of Education. So if your school has not been accredited, it's not likely you will get a domain name from us. And then when you have it, the registration process, after submitting the form or the online form, there must be a letter from the school administrator or the head of the school indicating that they have authorized or they want the domain. Because we don't want anything whereby the person, someone somewhere want to register the domain. So we might get clearance to show that the people want it before it's registered. The next one, I'm almost done. Yes, I think this will be my last one. The registration.gov.ga domain names. The .gov, I said, is reserved for which institution? Government. Yeah, so government, first, you must be a government institution before you can register the domain. And then even if you are government, I want to put this one there because some of us may, or I don't know, wherever you are working, you may end up in a government institution. And if your domain is being considered, you'll be able to understand what the name convention, how it should be done. And then with the government institutions, here, it's not, the naming requirement is not quite clear here. But with the naming requirement, if you are municipal or metropolitan assemblies, your abbreviation, let's say Abekuma West, is AW before you add the MA. So it will be AWMA, which is Abekuma West Metropolitan Assembly or Municipal Assembly, before the .gov.ga comes in. And then if you are a district, the same process goes. Your abbreviation, and then you add a DA to it. And then if you are mainly government institutions, you are allowed to use up to 5 names. So when you see the Ministry of Communication and Digitalization, their domain name is moc.gov.gh. And then the same apply. Ministry of Finance is MOF, Ministry of Interior, MOI, and all those things, just to make it easier for us to do. Yeah. So in summary, I would say that understanding the operations of ccTLD is crucial for participation in internet governance policy and discussions, because this is something that keeps coming up, especially when the .gh becomes fully operational, and then the community is also involved. You need to understand these things for you to participate. And already we have EGIGFA also part of the local internet community, and we want an individuals to be part of the community. And if you understand this, also makes it easy for you to fully participate. And registering .com.gh involves specific requirements that must also be respected to provide to ensure that there's integrity in our system. And benefits of ccTLD domain names enhances values for your businesses. ccTLD domain names, as we discussed, the brand identity and all those things, if you have them, it's good. And that's why now most countries are going for the ccTLD. They're encouraging their people to buy or use the local domain names. Because if everybody wants to identify himself with a good story, we are talking about government having a digital infrastructure, having other services in place. If you have all those things, and then the core of the internet, which is the domain name, is not being used or it's not being well managed locally, then whatever you are doing, I'm sorry, it may just be useless, because your routing cost will still be there. And if you talk about the routing cost, countries, sometimes we all say that when you go to Europe, the data is cheaper. But look at the services that are available there. Most of the services, let's say Canada is .ca, and most of them are hosted locally. So because traffic doesn't go out, it's like making mobile phone call. If you make mobile phone call outside the country, you see how the price is. When you do local among yourselves, the same way the internet works. When you do a search or when you make a request, and then that request has to go outside the country. Let's say Facebook, for example, and then it's going to US before it comes back. It means MTN or other services are using other services to reach there. And that services, the cost must be, we must absorb those costs. So those are some of the things that contribute to the internet being expensive. So we understanding this is also very crucial and important. Thank you.
Wow. Benedict, thank you so much. We are grateful. Okay, so because of time, we'll just take 2 questions. Brief, very brief. 1 sentence question.
Thank you very much, Benedict. Yes, so you made mention of the fact that you don't manage the domain. Who manages the domain? So Benedict made a statement with regards to the registry not managing the domain. So who manages the domain?
Yeah, the domain is currently being managed by Ghana.com. Yeah, so Ghana.com manages the domain for now.
Sure.
Okay, my name is Haruna Al Hassan. And then my question is on the domain name. To be specific, the educational domain name. All right. You said there's a requirement for the educational domain name. Example, they will require a letter from the school. I want to know how they verify the authenticity of the letter. Maybe anybody else can just sit somewhere and then just create a letter, and then is there a way that they verify the letter to know how authentic it is before?
Yes, I think it's very simple to do that in Ghana, because first thing is the schools must be accredited. So if it's accredited and letter is received, it's easy for us to contact even the Ministry of Education to verify the contact person if it's really in the school. And then the information that you provide, like the telephone numbers, when you register at Ministry of Education or Accreditation Board, you provide some information. And those informations are expected to be on the in the letter, and those one will be contacted and then find out that and to verify that really the registration is coming from who is supposed to be. Thank you.
Hello. I had a question. You mentioned economic instead of academic, but academic was there. Was that a mistake?
Please come again.
You mentioned economic institution model, but it said academic on the board. You just made a mistake, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's academic.
Yes. My question was, are you aware of the current number of domain names that are registered in general and in Ghana currently?
Yes, I can give you an estimate. Yeah, it's about 6,000 plus.
In general.
Yes. That is for .gh. But when it comes to the .coms, yes, but when it comes to the .com, we have a way of checking the domains that are registered by Ghanaians. Yes, and that one, per my last check, is ranging around 70,000. Those who are registered the .com, .org, and all those things. Yes, because the registration, that's a fancy where you indicate your country. And so when we check by those countries, we have about 60,000 domains registered by Ghanaians for .coms and .tech and all those other ones. Thank you.
My name is Eric. Please, can you assist us with the model that we are operating, the 4R, 2R, and also your functions and how it connects to NITA? Because I think sometimes some people are confused if they want to register .com.gh, whether they should go to NITA or they should go to your. And finally, the .com and the .org. Is it a way that increases the number of domains that you register, or because let's say would you register, or is it a requirement, or is it allowed that let's say I have a school, let's say UG, can I register UG .edu.gh, then somebody can register ug.com.gh. So I want to find out. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Ideally, when you register a domain name, it cannot be used again because we look at the name. So if somebody registered, let's say that ug.edu, it's not be possible for another person to register ug.com.gh. You understand? And then we talk about the model we run. At the moment, as I said, we are not there. We are not the current manager. Like we are undergoing a process to take over. So the current system we have now is basically we are saying that is the 2R, the registry registered domain directory form, the registrants or the users. And then we talk about NITA. NITA is also a registrar in this sense, in the sense that the .gov responsibilities have been given to NITA. So like, I'm coming. So like I said, so we are running like two different models here at the same time. If you are registering .com.edu, if you are registering .com.gh, .edu.gh, .org.gh, you register directly with the registry. If you are registering .gov.gh, you go through NITA. So NITA is a registrar in this line because NITA had the responsibility of think of all the government services. So all those ones go to them so that when you register, they add the other services to it, like the hosting, the email service, and all those things. They add it to you for you to use because government has taken care of that, or you pay a small token to NITA to get all those services in place. But when it comes to the ordinary people, you go through the 2R model where you register directly with the registry and it goes. So that's how, so now we are doing a mix now. Thank you. Oh, so that's what I said. Sometimes the registry is a regulator. Also, the 4R, we have the regulator sitting on its own. Sometimes we have the registry also being a regulator. But in most cases, the registry is also a regulator. That's why we get the community also into it. So that the policies and all those things, the community comes on board. We have the registrar community. We have the ordinary user community. We have the technical or the MNOs and the telcos, all those people also forming one community. You have the government as a community. You have the CSOs as a community. All these people come together to say that, okay, we have this policy running. We think it's okay, but if you can tweak it a little to suit this purpose, and then we say, okay, we look at it, and then based on the people at the room or when it's put out there for people to make a comment, based on the feedback, then it's adopted and then it runs. Thank you. You know, every art is by government. No, we have a lot of institutions. You have a lot of institutions that are state interest institutions, but they run as independent. Commercial bank, you can't say commercial bank is basically for government. Commercial bank even gives shares or other things to other institutions to come on board. So we have institutions that does not run as a fully owned government institutions. You have a government, they have institutions that government has given them the powers. Go and do what your mandate is. And then make sure that you don't run into losses and then make sure that the community is happy. Yeah, so that's what we want.
Great. On that note, I think it's been a fruitful session, and we are happy to have him. You know, he spoke a lot about the local internet community, right?
Yes.
So they gave us an invitation. So EGIGFA has reps there. So it's a good thing. Okay, so if you work in a place that they give you an invitation, you can take particular attention to, pay particular attention to some of the things they do. So Benedict, we are grateful to have you. I'm sure you are okay because you read some of these things. So to have somebody who has been in that system to explain to you, I think it puts a lot of things in perspective, right? So thank you very much. We are grateful. We are grateful.